Now I'm going to start strengthening the natural square nail. I'll be restoring the sidewalls. As I mentioned earlier, high viscosity gel and KONFITYUR have a very convenient consistency, so we ended up with this so-called no-file design, but we do have a bit. Here's this unusual gradient technique in gray tones. Good day, my name is Maria Petrova, and today I want to talk to you about 5 shades of gray. By the way, this is a very important topic for me because I've been on the hunt for gray gel shades for a very long time. And to be honest, there are very few brands that actually have truly beautiful gray colors. Today, I'll be showing you this kind of beauty, including one milky shade. KONFITYUR gels with high viscosity have gorgeous pigmentation and a consistency that's very convenient for application. They self-level perfectly and at the same time don't run anywhere. In a thin layer, these gels will be quite flexible, but in a leveling layer, they'll be extremely strong. The collection includes 5 shades of gray, from the lightest, almost milky, to a very dark graphite. All the colors are very opaque and can easily replace gel polishes. At the same time, the regrowth line will be very smooth and won't create a sharp color transition even after 4 weeks of wear. I was especially pleased with this dark graphite shade. Since I really love creating smooth color gradients, I arranged the colors in the palette and the swatches in order of increasing darkness. Moreover, my design will be done using roughly the same technique. I've already done a design in this technique using pastel, delicate summer shades of the high viscosity KONFITYUR gels. You can find it in one of my previous videos. Now I'm starting to reinforce the natural square shape and will be restoring the side walls. The first step is to apply glitter to the cuticle area and create a smooth gradient. The glitter matches the color of my future gels, gray graphite. Working with the through the ridge technique, I used the darkest shade 45 of the high viscosity KONFITYUR gel to build up the ridge itself, restoring the corners and lifting the free edge. As I mentioned earlier, KONFITYUR high viscosity gels have a very convenient consistency, allowing you to extend and shape the corners in the air. They are perfect for working with the through the ridge technique, as well as for use with upper and lower forms, for strengthening and sculpting. With shade 18 of the high viscosity KONFITYUR gel, a milky, semi-transparent color, I draw the first element in the cuticle area. I'm not afraid to apply the gel very close to the cuticle, because I know that in a thin layer it will be flexible enough, which means I don't have to worry about lifting in the cuticle area. At the same time, I don't need any extra bulk near the cuticle, so I spread the drop in such a way that the volume is minimal right at the cuticle. After curing for 1 minute, I paint the edges of my element with white paint that has a sticky layer. Next, I take KONFITYUR gel number 42, which is high viscosity. This one is literally about half a tone darker than the first color. I draw a rounded element, spreading the gel in an even layer about 1 mm thick. For application, I find it more convenient to use a thin brush. It helps me literally draw out the elements I need. Working with a drop, I use just the very tip of the brush to help distribute the material exactly where I want it. Cure for 1 minute and then once again paint the edges of my element with white gel paint. Next, choose the next most saturated KONFITYUR high viscosity gel, shade number 43. This one will be another half tone darker than the previous one. In this way, the design creates a gradient, not completely smooth because of the distinct dividing lines, but still, the effect turns out really cool. What I like about this design is that, although the lines themselves are horizontal, they don't make the nail plate look wider because the horizontal lines aren't straight, but rather curved like this. Don't forget that the height of each element should be 1 mm, because design is important, but we're also reinforcing here. In this section, you can clearly see the height of the ridge and the height of our element. Ideally, at the free edge, these heights should match each other. And now we cure it for another minute, then paint over with gel polish again and cure once more. Each element painted with white gel polish must also be cured for at least 1 minute. Because if you don't cure the polish enough, your beautiful design will literally fall apart into pieces. Next up is shade number 44 of the high viscosity KONFITYUR gel. And here we partially overlap onto the darkest color that we applied on the ridge. Well, that's great. Let's see if this will affect our design in the end. Once again, we paint over with gel polish and cure everything thoroughly. And now we move on to the last and darkest shade of the high viscosity KONFITYUR gel. The beautiful shade 45 Graphite completes our set of 5. Carefully refine the shape at the free edge and along the sidewalls if we didn't have enough material there before. This is the kind of so-called no-file design we've ended up with, but we have a bit that helps reveal our beautiful pattern. The first step is always to file the edges. This way we shape the length and expose the thickness of the material. Next, we move on to surface filing, where we remove all the excess bulk and reveal our marbled textured pattern. When sculpting or reinforcing using 3D design techniques, don't neglect e-file filing. Even though KONFITYUR High Viscosity gels file beautifully with a hand file, using an e-file significantly reduces working time. Plus, the thin tip of the bit allows you to reach areas that are hard to access with a file, specifically the cuticle and sidewall zones. The next step is refining the shape with a file. The first step is the free edge, then the sidewalls, and after that, the central surface. I'm using a 240 grit file. I've already removed the main bulk of the gel with the bit, so with the file I just need to slightly refine the shape. As the final step, I use a thin file to support the lower parallels and refine my sidewalls. It's very important to lift the lower parallels only after surface filing, otherwise they might end up higher than we want. At this stage, I also make sure that my lower parallels are at the same level. We finish our filing with a soft buffer to smooth out any remaining ridges left by the file. We file away any excess material and the natural nail from the inside, and then move on to the most satisfying part, the top coat application. As you can see, we've restored the shape and made our square thin, crisp, and very defined. And all this was achieved with just one jar, KONFITYUR High Viscosity Gel. This is such an unusual gradient technique in grey tones. I love combining design techniques with the strengthening process. It's efficient, impressive, delightful, and beneficial all at once. Have you already tried the grey shades of KONFITYUR High Viscosity Gel? Share your impressions in the comments below the video. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.